what's how is Seplat looking at contributing to this drive?
Thank you for that. Well, let me start off with a thank you to our hosts, the chairman of chairman, which makes him chairman to the power of 2, I think, if you're a maths person. Thanks also, and thanks to Heirs Energies and all the group. I also want to start by congratulating, congratulating President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, first of all, and then my esteemed panelists here, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, CCE, my partner here to my left, the state government, particularly for us, Aqua Ibom State. The reason why I say congratulations and a big thank you as well is that, it's a bit like, have you ever seen Heathrow Airport in the mornings when you see a stack of planes way back, and the air traffic controller has to land all those planes, one every minute? Well, that's what his government did last year. They went through and had an unprecedented 5 divestments, and probably, I think, up to, if you count it, 25 blocks. That's enormous. It's not done elsewhere in the world. So I want to congratulate, well done, landing all of those transactions, because it really is going to transform Nigeria as a real energy powerhouse. Let me just start off by saying, what it means to Seplat, and then what it means to the wider group. So Seplat is a young company. It's maybe not as old as the IOCs. It's a little bit younger than Owando, but it is a relatively new company, and there's lots of new companies. And as a company, it's been operating almost now for 15 years. I think we have drilled over 100 wells. We have put in, this year we'll have 3 gas plants up and running. We've put a lot of infrastructure, put a lot of investment into the regions we operate, into our areas of operation, and really, I think, poised us for this I think is a game-changing acquisition for us as Seplat Group in terms of the acquisition of MPNU, which we completed last year. It's also game-changing for Owando in their acquisition. It's a game change for Renaissance. It's game-changing for absolutely everyone. And when the CCE, who called a news conference in October, or a conference in October, and made the statement 1 million barrels extra. 1 million barrels additional. Now I'm trying to work, is that on 1.5 or 1.7 cc? I'm not sure. Is it 2.5 or 2.7? But whatever happens, it's 1 million extra. And that is a requirement of the government to actually access these really amazing resources and create energy security for Nigeria and its people. And we're up to the challenge. All of the indigenous companies who are taking over these assets and the ones that already have them are up for the challenge. I say always, every barrel counts, and every incremental barrel counts. Every incremental molecule of gas counts, and they all add up to this 1 million barrels. So what is Seplat going to do? Well, we took over on the 12th of December, and we've been working very hard on this year's process, which is really about, we've got 200 wells, about 200 wells in operation today at the old MPNU assets. Locked in are over 400 wells, right? And we can see what's happened for the previous divestments. The obvious thing to do is to get after the low-hanging fruit, the stock activities, and start to reopen those wells. And that's exactly what we will be doing this year. At the same time is we're putting forward the 5-year plan. And the 5-year plan is really to look at beyond asset integrity, which we do need to take very seriously as a business, as an industry, because these assets are mature, and we have to make sure that we continue to operate them safely. But it's really about what is our infill drilling campaign. And the word campaign Our service providers out here will love this. It is a campaign. It's not one well. It's 10, it's 50, it's 100 wells. And what is that over the next 5 years? How does that then ramp up to production and hit and deliver those million barrels? And then beyond that is exploration. So at the same time, one of the requirements as part of the approvals was to actually come forward with a commitment to exploring. And I think this is the other thing for us as an industry is beyond accessing easier barrels, we actually got to look deeper, look into the areas that the IOCs haven't explored because it's fast. I want to also add is in terms of gas, because I think gas is really important. You touched on it. I mean, Seplat, we pride ourselves that this year we'll have 850 million scuff of operating gas capacity alongside our partner NNPC in 3 gas plants. With the ExxonMobil acquisition, we've obviously got some gas developments there, but it's nowhere near scratching the surface of the gas resource. We believe there's at least 14 TCF of gas here, and if you start to touch on the exploration, the team is thinking double that. So really about the gas development, we've got to really focus on a mixture of domestic gas plays, and we're looking at fertilizer plays, we're looking at power and petrochem. Also, we're looking at LNG plays, right? Either supplying to Nigerian LNG or looking at floating LNG. And there's a number of developments like that, such as UTM, et cetera. So what we're looking at is what is the short term, the near term on production gas, and then what is the long-term gas plan so we can access that 14 TCF of gas and plus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roger. Very robust answer. I think it's a similar journey that we undertook in Heirs Energies. When we took over our asset, we had 30 wells producing. We have tripled that. We have about 100 wells producing now. And that's what we have used to double our production, both oil and gas. So we should be very best in this. I think this is just an indication of what is going to happen that will underpin the rejuvenation of the Nigerian petroleum industry. So if I come to Mr. Untia, thank you, our EVP. Thinking about NNPC, I think it would be good if we could explore with you some of the strategic imperatives NNPC is looking at around funding all of these developments that are going to come through. You are either a joint venture partner or a PSC holder or other structures. And so you are kind of the spider in the web in all of these assets. So it would be very good to get your perspectives on this.
Thanks, Osa. Appreciate it. Thanks, Heirs Energies, for hosting this inaugural edition of this leadership forum. I particularly am very elated at being here because the opportunity to talk about what's possible in Nigeria is just what I like to do. When I was offered this role a couple months ago, it was one of the shortest and quickest decisions I had to take. Yet again, it was the longest decision I had to take because I had to look at, what is this going to do to my sleep? By the way, I was retired. I retired at 48, and I was just done with the industry. And coming back here to work with an NPC just provides the opportunity to see the entire landscape, and how one can make an impact and leave a legacy of well-doing in the industry. So your question was, how do we provide the strategic imperative to move things forward in the industry? The industry itself is in 3 categories, if I should just be as simple as possible. The upfront planning, the contracting, the preparation to start work, the technology required to get the oil out of the ground, and of course, the security of assets and to get the products over to sales, either FLNG, pipelines to LNG, to sales out of country and all of that. The security of that entire infrastructure, it's very, very imperative, and I like what I see, I like what I met. Very grateful for the Honorable Minister, Mr. President, and of course the SA to the President as well, Mr. Lu, who has been very dexterous in providing the opportunities, to open up the industry. How do we unlock the industry? It's not been done in a while, but really glad I'm in the industry at this time, for such a moment as this. The upfront work is the contracting. How do we make that better? Coming from the other side of the industry to this side of the world, it's always been contracting. Well, three things bedevil the industry when you look at it. It's contracting, it's aged facilities, and it's security. And of course, the last one is funding. The funding part has been solved for the most part. We take care of cash calls. Nobody can put up their hands and say, I owe them cash calls. I just signed the last one 2 days ago for February, So we're doing very well in that area. The money is available. The contracting is evolving. Target is 6 months. We had an SPA with the SLA with the industry, to target 6 months of every contract that leaves the industry to an MPC. There is a bit of struggle from both sides, a bit of tension from both sides. I don't want to blame parties here, but there's an opportunity next month to redefine what that will look like. Pilot some and see how we can break that down below 6 months. I am sold into the fact that we can make it happen, and we are definitely going to make it happen because it's just simple business sense. Make things work. Don't spend too long a time in contracting, because if it's too long, prices escalate from when you start the contracting to when you get the projects in place. The other one is making sure we contain the products inside the facilities, inside the pipelines, inside the vessels, and all of that, securing all that product. Honorable Minister talked about the great work that has been done by the military, by the NSA. In recent times, we've transitioned security over to the NSA. NNPC wants to just get off that business and get the people responsible for securing assets to do that. And I'm glad to report that it's working well. The transition has been smooth. The NSA, Mr. No Ribado, has been very, very insistent in ensuring that, the tempo does not drop, and we can ensure we do that. Today, a number of CEOs will attest to the fact that, the availability of pipelines, it's, if not 99%, it's surely in the mid-90s to upper 90s for most assets. There are a few infractions here and there that we're trying to manage, but we think we're taking the market back from the bad actors, to return it to the folks who are really doing well in the markets. Once we can get that security infrastructure stabilized for good across the entire industry, there's a huge pipeline project we have underway to replace our existing pipelines and bring new pipelines with good pressure ratings, that everybody can flow into, and provide technology in the lines as well that can detect an infraction very early, and our response time can be quicker than what it is right now. It will help a lot with the industry. That is being done, and we believe we've got line of sight from here to when we think it's going to be done. The last one is on age facilities. That's a term I want to eradicate from the industry. If we can, actually, it's possible to do that. Generally as a culture, we don't do very well with maintenance of anything at all. Our generators at home, our vehicles, our facilities and all, But when you see the big players manage their facilities, it's possible. A lot of us have worked outside of the country, and we do see how a facilities can look as new, even though it's 30 years old, it can still look as though it was a 2-day-old facility. Well maintained, well painted, well taken care of, There is a proactive maintenance, not preventive, and lagging issues where it's very expensive to manage. As we change out a lot of these assets and assure that we can keep maintaining them, we'll shift away from that lingo, age facilities, to simply just maintenance. And that transformation is going to happen. My job, as I know, is to be an influencer and to be an enabler in the industry. Like Osa mentioned, joint venture partnerships with a lot of folks, JV level, PSC level, and there's some assets that we run ourselves as NMPC Limited. But I do think there's an opportunity to bring that maintenance culture, take from some of the assets that are doing very well, deploy to assets that are struggling or may not have the resources or the skill sets to do those things. Share as much as possible and see how we can eradicate that term and ensure we've got facilities that will run for the next 10, 20 years. It's not just enough to say we can produce the oil, but we need facilities to keep the oil, contain the oil, and take them to sales. The last one, I think it's the point I'll make is on collaboration. The mindsets that I've met now is where a lot of assets are being hogged by asset owners, I would say, or operators. I would want to see a shift where we collaborate more. The ultimate aim is to produce the fields, get the fields going. And there's no point in keeping an asset when you don't have the capital, you're not ready to produce, and you just hold on to it. How about we bring in third-party folks? You're still the operator, you've got oversight, and you can just give up a little bit of control and watch those assets come alive with production. We share technology in this area, get third-party folks to work in other areas, and just spring up the volumes. So when Commission Chief Executive is talking about plus 2 million barrels in 2021 plus, Honorable Minister is saying 2.7 million barrels by 2027, we are going to have to collaborate. Everybody will need to collaborate. Everybody will focus on what they do best, and the ones they don't have the capital or the resources for, let those who can operate it on a cost-plus basis come do the work. At the end of the day, everybody benefits. We unlock the oil. Everybody goes to the bank. I told Roger the other day, my job is to make him money. My job is to make the CEOs money and to make sure you produce your assets as safely as possible, bank the volumes, and everybody holds an AGM smiling. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's an exciting closer. Smiling, AGMs with everybody smiling. We're looking forward to that. And I think a key message on collaboration is very vital. But let's look beyond 2.7 million barrels. There are so many forces at play. Energy transition. There's development in that space now. There is gas as a transition fuel. There's our power requirements, which is huge. We don't have enough gas. There are so many things raging. So if we look beyond 2.7 million barrels, Honorable Minister, how is government looking at securing this country energy-wise? What is the long-term play for energy?
Yeah, thank you very much. Before I address that question, let me first of all, say that today we are doing about 1.75, 1.8 million barrels a day, but we are not exceeding OPEC quota. OPEC quota is 1.5 million barrels of crude. I've been briefed that what we produce, that we even categorize as crude today, is more of condensate. So I'm looking forward to engaging, the stakeholders so that we dedicate, in our terminals, some reservoirs specifically for condensate. And except the brief is wrong, I believe that even if we do 2.5 million barrels, we may not be exceeding OPEC quota. I hear that we produce substantial volume of condensate. As of today, is mixed together with crude. By the way, condensate is also high-grade crude. I've been told that it's even more expensive than crude. And so condensate is also crude. But we as a country have to engage, you know, the operators of the terminals. You know, our terminals are owned by Shell, Chevron, all those big boys. So we need to engage them to say, look, let's dedicate some of, you know, our reservoirs for condensate exclusively, or that's for crude, so that we do not violate, you know, our obligation, you know, to OPEC. You know, OPEC is basically about price stability and, you know, efficient, you know, supply chains. It's not enough for us to produce 3 million barrels and then the price of crude comes down to, you know, $40. It won't be attractive. It won't be, you know, in our strategic, you know, national interest. And I've told people that whether Trump is there in America as president or not, the price of crude will not come down. Because those who are actually, you know, the big companies in the US are also there to make money. These are not government-owned companies. They are privately owned companies that are there, you know, to make money. Having said that, let me say that, you know, there's this misconception about energy transition. Historically, no source of energy has been abandoned. Today, you know, between America and then, you know, China, they contribute 55% of global emissions. Where are they coming from? Substantially from coal and fossil fuel. But these guys are not stopping. Whereas they are telling us to stop fossil fuel in investment, they are not stopping. Even if they're making electric cars, the factories where the electric cars are being made are powered by coal or fossil fuel. So the emissions are continuing. So at the global stage, you know, my contention has always been, and the contention of Africa, is that the entire African continent contributes only about 3%. UK alone contribute about 4.8%. But UK too, in 2023, November, gave over 100 licenses for new explorations in fossil fuel. Whereas the West is telling us, you know, to stop production of fossil fuel, they are ramping up production of fossil fuel. So I want Nigerians to know, I want Africans to know that this is basically geopolitics. Nobody is stopping. And for Africa, you know, we've taken a lot more steps than most parts in the world. In Nigeria, we have a law on climate change. We have, you know, taken, you know, gas as our transition fuel. We have robust penalties, you know, for gas flaring. We're doing everything to ensure that, you know, our production in line with the PIA is kept clean, green, and environmentally, you know, sustainable. But our first objective is to solve our energy poverty problems. And I've always told people that we need, you know, the dollars from fossil fuel investment to finance our energy mix. What the West has always said is that they have money that they are going to give to us. The money hasn't come. Since the Paris Agreement, they've always pledged $100 billion a year. Check the records. No promise is a debt. If they don't give you the money, you can't enforce it. And that is why we'll go from one COP 28 to COP 29. The story is the same. They are not giving us any money. The last time I was in Davos, I was